Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic.
All right, now it's working, I think. Yeah. All right. Welcome to Celtic Ligers, the podcast that goes through the news and highlights of the week, and just has a big, kind of takes a big
thing.
Fuck. What?
A big thing.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, I was going to say a big wet fart on them.
No,
yeah.
We're having a big wet thing.
A big wet thing
about them.
About them. So yeah, the latest thing that's just come in over the pipeline just before we got on, and because I was like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, an hour before, I'm going to start looking at the news events and kind of putting them together. And
I
see
mean,
if we can't get
for the
something
entire
out of it.
week, we have been rigorously.
Oh yeah, sorry, that's what I meant
studying.
But then in this last minute check, this is where I found this amazing thing that's just happened. The headline reads in the Belfast Telegraph: former First Minister Arlene Foster joins GB News.
No way.
Yeah, I could not. I was like, that's a joke, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like looking at all these articles where it's like, and she's on GB News with Nigel Farage being interviewed by him and some other lady.
What?
Yeah. Nigel Farage has a show now on GB News.
GB News.
I don't know if you're familiar with this, are you?
I don't fully know what GB News is.
Well, actually, I'll explain it to people as well, but essentially Andrew Neil's show got cancelled on the BBC last year or something like that.
Which guy's Andrew? Is he the guy who interviewed Ben Shapiro?
Yeah, exactly. And that's a great clip of like where Ben Shapiro accuses him of being of the woke left, and he's like, Mr. Shapiro, I don't think you realize how ridiculous you sound right now.
Yeah.
Even he's like so ludicrously conservative. He's just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
But Andrew Neil he kind of constantly failed upwards because he's extremely right wing, and so they decided to set up a TV channel called Great British News, which would be like a kind of Fox thing, but they don't want to call it Fox. They say it's actually for the anti-woke people, the people who like, don't like cancel culture and, be policing what they say, Right. But basically, since they started with the backing of a bunch of millionaires and billionaires, the whole channel has been like a victim of like awful like lights, awful fuck ups. Everything's gone to shit basically, even though they have loads of money, loads of capital. And then the last, I think like a few weeks ago, basically, it was reported that on the Nielsen's ratings or whatever ratings they have in the UK. Well, actually, I should clarify. So one thing that happened is obviously they are very against players taking the knee. Okay, that was something that they were up in arms about. Oh yeah, even further back, they were talking about the royal family, and I don't know if you remember this, but there was a correspondent for the royal who was like a royal expert or something. Yeah, and so they tried to bring up. They were like, "What do you think about Prince Andrew's connection with the pedophile Jeffrey Epstein?" And she was like, it's not a pedophile, it's an ephebophile or something like that. So it's actually somebody, she was saying pedophile is that you're into underage, like really underage,
like kids. Yeah,
but ephebophilia is that you're into kind of kids who look really young.
I think it's isn't like they're into teenagers? Isn't that the distinction?
I don't even know the term. How's it spelled again? Ephebophile?
I don't know. I know it from like pedantic discussions online.
Yeah. A person who is primarily attracted to late or post-adolescents or children who have gone through puberty and with advanced signs of adult sexual maturation. Generally, this means teenagers between 15 and 19 years old. So I gotta give it to her. It checks out. Yeah. But anyhow, that was one thing that happened on the thing, but then they were giving out about people taking the knee, and then what ended up happening is England made it to the final, and then all of a sudden they kind of had to reverse course a little bit. So one of their presenters he said, look, you know, fair's fair. I'm wrong. And so I'm going to take the knee to show now in solidarity.
Really?
And then he basically got fired from the station for doing so.
Wow.
Because they were like, you can't do that. And then they were like, I thought this was the anti-cancel culture, anti-whatever. You know, I thought this was about free speech.
Yeah.
But the thing then that ended up happening is as a result of that, their like already small viewer base actually did boycott the channel. So
for which reason?
For taking the knee.
Oh, right, okay.
So whatever happened with the Nielsen ratings, that it basically, there wasn't enough people watching the shows for it to register on the Nielsen ratings. So statistically speaking, 0 people were watching some of their shows in the primetime spots about a few weeks ago.
Wow.
And then Andrew Neil, who was supposed to be like, you know, this big heavy hitter who was adding legitimacy to it, he's all of a sudden gone on unexpected holidays, and it looks like he's just going to bail from the entire organization because of how shitty it looks.
Yeah.
And so now they're just trying to be like, well, we got Nigel Farage here, so you can watch Nigel Farage, and it's like, all right. But also Nigel Farage also has like, it's not a TV show, but he has like a show on LBC like weekly, I believe.
It's also like, he's really not as popular as he once was. Like, he's not a big get at all.
Well, that's what people are discovering, is that not only is the British right-wing media already right-wing enough for most people, if whatever hardcore contingent that might like GB News will just go on Twitter or something like that, or Facebook or something. Like, social media provides that kind of angry, shouty
but it's also
shit.
just like, it's like anything else where just because Farage was popular like 3 or 4 years ago doesn't mean he's still popular. And like, again, just because Andrew Neil used to be popular doesn't mean he's still popular. Like, it just seems they didn't actually put all that much thought into it. They were just like, who should we get from a few years ago that was reasonably popular?
Yeah,
and now they're just like
right-wingers?
Repeating the same things, trying to get people angry, you know?
Yeah.
And like, that whole free speech thing is so annoying, because like, the Conservatives aren't free speech. Like, if you like Boris Johnson, and he bring in that thing recently that was like, your protest can't be too loud.
Yeah.
And it can't be too like disrespectful or whatever.
Or disruptive or something.
Yeah.
If you annoy people, basically, then you can be arrested potentially.
Like, they brought in loads, like, they aren't free speech at all.
And
they're really pro-cancel culture. You know? Like, I wish they'd be just a bit more straightforward about, like, what they were. Just racist and angry, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, you can't get more racist and angry. Well, you can. But Arlene Foster, I don't even know what... I mean, I don't... Like, whatever you think about Nigel Farage...
Yeah,
you could
no
be like,
one likes Arlene Foster.
Yeah, you could think, like, there's something about his delivery and his mannerisms that lend themselves to a compelling TV presence or personality. But the idea of having Arlene Foster on, it's like, everybody thinks she's the biggest dry shite in politics. It's
yeah,
like, just...
exactly. Like, she was never particularly popular. Like, people liked her at the very start when she got to be First Minister or whatever. But, yeah, she's completely... like, uninteresting, and I can't even imagine what her show would be like.
Well, I think she's like meant to be like a political correspondent on like a panel type show, so she's not going to be like leading the fray. But ultimately, it's like, does anybody in, you know, Great British News, oh, here to see the Great British News, and it's like, who the fuck is that bitch? What, do we own that? I forgot.
Well, yeah,
you know what I mean?
it's like all she can talk about is Northern Ireland. And then the same political landscape. Like, do you think loyalists are watching? I don't know if loyalists are watching like Great British News. Like, is it like up there? They're just not reading. They don't read like the English papers. They read their own papers. You know.
Yeah. And also, didn't they oust Arlene Foster? Would they even want to watch her on any other platform? It's like, oh no, you're not right wing enough for me, so I don't like you. I don't want to see you.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was like the party ousted her, do you know what I mean? Like,
right, so
the normal person probably just don't think about him at all. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's like, it reminds me of like Ian Rodenda. It's like, does anyone actually care
Yeah.
what he thinks of anything now? You know?
Who's this? Ian who?
What?
Who are you talking about?
You remember that show with Enda Kenny?
Oh, right. Sorry. I thought you said Ian Rodenda, and I was like, is this some sort
That's
of
what the
like...
show was called, wasn't it?
I think it was Ian Rodenda or something.
Right.
But I mean, it's the same difference. I mean, but what I'm saying is, like, I thought it was a politician called Ian,
No.
who everybody was interested in or not interested in. Well, in this article, they mentioned that Silvio Berlusconi came from the silver screen.
Did he?
Apparently, he was in several films in the 1990s.
And that's where you
Maybe
got to
we should
start.
watch one of them. I mean, apparently. What about a certain guy called Ronald Bidenet Reagan?
Ronald Duck.
Ronald Rock. Alan Rock. Yeah, there's plenty. There's also our president and yours, Donald J. Trump.
Yeah.
Bring on 2024, I say. Let's have him back in. Okay.
Yeah, he's done his time. Give him the seat back.
I was watching because I heard a clip that, like, Chapo put up a clip of him talking about the drugs take back scheme.
Yeah.
And it had been so long since I'd heard him, I was going back through the hits again, you know.
Like
and
what?
to hear him going like, I really loved when there was a reporter who was asking him a question. He goes, "Don't be a cutie pie. Stop being such a cutie pie." Get it? Like, but he meant it like you're being a chancer.
Yeah.
You know? But I've just never heard anybody refer to them as like a cutie pie.
Yeah.
You know? Stop being so beautiful. Stop being such a cutie. Cutie patootie. The milk people one, that was good too.
What was that?
Do you remember where he was, Obama had promised to take a number of migrants from Australia and Trump is immediately trying to renege on it. And he just goes, "These aren't your average people. These aren't your normal milk people. These are bad dudes, you know?"
Yeah. I wonder what a milk person is in his mind.
Yeah. And I think it would go a little something. Why did I start that? And then the other one that I was thinking was that Michael and us mentioned it like a year ago, and I'd forgotten about that as well, where he's like, he was making fun of Jeb Bush's mother, and so Jeb Bush like decided to defend himself in the primary debate, and he goes, "My mother is a strong, noble woman," or something like that, and then Trump goes, "Maybe she should be running."
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Too bad his brain is too damaged now to be funny.
Yeah.
Did you... Let me think. Let me think about the old political situation at the moment.
I got a few things here.
Here was one. Hit us.
Well, I'll do like the lower tier ones first. But the Beacon Hospital did an inquiry into the jabs that went to the teachers, and it found itself innocent. So,
yeah, I saw that it was. They said they had no list of people to give the vaccine to or something. Wasn't that it?
I mean, like, I read down through the thing, but it was really long, and I was just like, okay, whatever. I know what they.
I'm pretty sure they were like, we have no emergency list of people who would take it, so we just gave it to our son's teachers.
Yeah.
I mean, fair. Do you know what I mean?
Makes sense. But that's just throwing shade at like the HSE and people like this to be like, yeah, maybe if you'd provided us with something, then we wouldn't have had to be wantonly corrupt.
Yeah,
you know?
that's it. We could have just gone anywhere and offered people the vaccine to someone who needed it, but
yeah,
we had no list. So
yeah,
what do you list then?
Well, actually, that also doesn't check out if that's what they said, because I believe that there were people who were in the hospital who had still to receive vaccinations. Do you know, like, you're in a hospital.
I know, just give it to anyone.
Come on, like
just squirt it into some random person's IV drip.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
They probably need it. What are they in here for? COVID?
Well, what do you want? Yeah, That would
They're
probably be
probably
good for
extra
them.
healed now, you know?
What?
They're probably extra healed now.
Um.
I got my first dose, by the way, last week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it was very efficient, and I was 10 minutes early, and I went in, and they just gave me the shot, and I left about 10 minutes later. It was crazy.
10 minutes later.
Well, they make you wait for like 15, but basically I was in there for like, you know. Like, I thought, oh, geez, I'm early, so I'll probably have to wait outside. But they're like, no, get in there. There's a cubicle. Go in. Get your shot.
Yeah.
Here's a pamphlet. Sit out there. 15 minutes. I was like, that was it. That was the whole thing.
Yeah, like it's all they do all day, every day.
Yeah.
So I think they're pretty slick at it by this point.
Big time, but like, you know, from your experiences with the Irish healthcare system, or well, I mean, you've had more than me, but like I was prepared for, yeah, I'll be here for an hour. I better set aside a chunk of my day because if something will happen, they'll fuck it up and I'll have to...
Did you see they set up a website that was like the COVID passport?
I saw that, yeah.
What was it? COVID portal.
Certificate or something?
Yeah, but they spelt it wrong.
Yeah, they left the I out.
So like the website just looks really dodgy. Because someone who shared it, was it Gavin Riley shared it? And
I saw this on...
Everyone was like,
yeah.
I think you've been had, Gavin Riley, because like that website looks so dodgy. It's unreal. And he's like, no, I swear to God, this is it.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, no, it's not. No, it's not. And it was just so many arguments, and people were like, the certificate isn't even proper. It's like, this is it. This is the link I was given. So someone actually bought the correctly spelled domain.
Mm-hmm.
And just made it a redirection site because they were like, someone is going to take this and, you know.
Yeah, here it is. Adam Conway, his Twitter handle, @AdamConwayIE. And so basically him and his friend spotted that the Irish government had fucked up. And so it's lucky that they discovered it and not like some other asshole.
Yeah.
But basically they bought the thing. And yeah, the picture here it's something that they created in Paint. Like very obviously. And it says go.vie. So, you know, and it looks, the harp is drawn really crappily, and they've used like some of the sillier fonts from Word, and it reads, looking for a certificate of COVID-19 recovery? You spelled certificate correctly. Unfortunately, you're probably looking for Irish COVID certificate portal.org. Where's the one? Oh yeah, there's the I. There's a second I that's gone, or something like that. So anyway, it turns out like they were just like, we'll just redirect you there. Mm-hmm. But as we've already seen, like there are people who will buy those domain names and either redirect it to Fianna Fáil or redirect it to COVID conspiracy.
I know.
So lucky they got it.
The COVID certificate thingy is so poorly handled at every level. Yeah. Like I got mine in a letter from the revenue.
Really?
Which I did not need. I don't need a letter from the revenue at this time in my life. But it's just like a printout on a normal, what do you call it, like an inkjet printer.
Yeah.
It looks like shit. And then, so all you have is it's like, and they tell you how to fold it. So you just have like this A4 piece of paper folded. So like, there's no sense that this would be hard to fabricate.
Yeah.
Like, no sense whatsoever.
Oh, you're just like, oh, I've written my COVID vax. I just did all the details on the back of my hand. Do you think that's good enough? Just get in, you know?
It would be as good. Like, this is so shoddy.
We've used papyrus on every one of these. Oh, no.
And then there's like a QR code thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Apparently nowhere has the app or anything to, like, scan it.
Yeah, didn't they say like, oh, they were like, we're currently developing the app to accept the QR code, and somebody's like, well, I hope it's done by the end of this weekend. So that would be really awkward, wouldn't it? If, you know, you didn't have the fucking app to allow for indoor dining.
Like, yeah. Do they have it?
I don't know. I'm not even sure if they have it yet. I mean, I haven't been paying attention to that because I think it's the biggest swizz ever. It's just the whole thing with indoor dining, it's like, maybe this is an abdication when you're doing an Irish politics podcast, but I'm like, I'm not letting the Vintner Society dictate what I talk about. We're talking about Arlene Foster on GB News. We're not talking about my the technicalities of having like my precious business needs to open indoors as well. I mean, obviously, well, whatever. I personally, I think that public health should take precedent over businesses. I know that people are like, yeah, but we have livelihoods and we have mental health and we have all this type of shit and to take care of. It's like, yeah, I know, but unfortunately, when an unprecedented pandemic comes across, everything's going to be fucked for a while, I'd say, do you know?
Yeah, but
So
it's always that same thing, though, where it's like they can see as well as we can, some of them. Like, some of them have just been difficult, but then, like, because with this whole thing, you have, like, the Vendors Association, but they don't represent every pub in the country.
Yeah.
And same with, like, the restaurant guys. They don't represent everybody. They're just, like, a particular lobby group that people subscribe to. So, like, I don't know, there's just loads of people in the country and they're like, the government aren't even doing the lockdown properly.
Yeah.
The only thing they're locking down is our business. Or, like, the only thing like, you can understand why you'd be frustrated because you're like, we've been locked down for 18 months or whatever.
Yeah.
And then haven't done it properly at any point. And it's obviously like an escape valve for the government. Or like a scapegoat to be like, oh yeah, we'll close the restaurants again, that'll solve it. When they don't do any of the other stuff.
Yeah, right, yeah. Do you think that's what it is? They're anticipating the next wave and they're like, fuck, we shouldn't have opened up and it's the restaurant's fault again.
Yeah, that's definitely going to happen. Like, if there's another wave, it'll just be like, close restaurants, that was it. Indoor dining was a bad idea.
And we're kind of already in the middle of a wave, but nobody's referring to it that way. Like, it's like you're at 1,000 cases a day and growing, and it's just like, oh, yeah, well, we anticipate another wave. And I mean, even what Leo Varadkar said that basically at some stage we can expect about 1,000 deaths or something. And he said that was like an acceptable loss, essentially, just to try and get the gears going.
When did he say that?
He said it during the week. Let me look it up.
It's just a thing of like, if you're sacrificing something and you don't see and you see it being, what's the word, like, not respected or wasted, you're gonna get angry. If you're like, I've been closed for all these months and the government's dicking about, why are we closed again? Remind me.
Yeah, no, they absolutely are just playing absolute silly beggars. I think that was kind of like the idea of engaging with this stuff, like, legitimately. One of the ones that I remember, do you remember where it was like, oh, you need to have a substantial meal to have a drink indoors last year?
Exactly.
And then, like, a few months later, Simon Harris appears on the radio. It was like, that was a bit silly, wasn't it? It was like, you did that. Those are your policies. And it's just like this thing where it's like, I'm not engaging with your bullshit rules. I know what you're doing. You're just, like, you determined to open these businesses. You know you shouldn't. And everybody's just pretending that reality isn't what it is. And I don't want to read through a million rules and get mad about it. It's like, this is just fodder for columns. That's what it feels like.
Like, when they were reopening, I think, aren't unvaccinated kids allowed to eat inside?
Yeah, something like that.
It's something like 9 kids for a table of 4 or something quite large like that,
Yeah.
And that's just pure gambling.
Yeah.
Because kids can, as far as I understand it, transmit it.
Oh, yeah.
There's a much more transmittable disease out there.
Yeah.
NEFIT are like, don't let unvaccinated kids eat inside. And then it's just like, I think we've got a chance this one,
Yeah.
And
I've got this article, but it's behind a paywall. But somebody's taken one of the quotes out. It says, Tánaiste Leo Varadkar says he expects the 4th wave of COVID-19, driven by the Delta variant, to peak at 3,000 to 4,000 cases per day, with between 1 or 2 deaths per 1,000 cases. And basically he was saying this was like manageable.
That is nowhere near what you said, by the way.
What? Well,
he said he would be happy with 1,000 deaths.
When you say manageable, that's like saying that that's an acceptable loss.
Yeah, but you said 1,000 deaths.
Okay, sorry, I did say 1,000 deaths. Well, you're saying, okay, between 1 or 2 deaths per 1,000 cases at 3,000 to 4,000 cases per day. So how long is that going to go on indefinitely?
1,000 days.
1,000 days, yeah, sorry. Well, also, it doesn't need to be 1,000 days, because if it's 3,000 to 4,000 cases per day and the cases keep rising, then it's, basically the numbers are going to catch up with what I'm saying before they'll, Yeah, no, that was really, good to call me out there. Sometimes that happens. One slips through the net, you hate Vradker too much, you kind of say,
Are you going to eat outside when the thingy does the thing?
No. I don't. No, I mean, I don't even miss eating inside. Maybe in the winter I would, but then I don't need to. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. I don't know why people are so kind of bent out of shape about it. I know that there's plenty of places that can't open because they don't have indoor dining capabilities. Maybe I've been a bit spoiled in Kilkenny because there's plenty of places that have big outdoor patio areas. But because actually, when I was in Galway, I'm in Galway currently, and we went to try and find breakfast, and there was nowhere. There was literally nowhere that had an outdoor dining thing.
Really?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised because I thought Galway would, be rural enough to have it.
Yeah.
But no.
I suppose rural people don't like sitting outside. It reminds them too much of working,
Yep. So the other one that I have is which links in, is the anti-lockdown protests.
Oh, yeah.
That have been taking place. And the Beacon, not the Beacon Hospital, and I'm not talking about the Beacon Hospital, I'm genuinely not. The Beacon, at the Beacon IRL is a Twitter account reporting on the far right in Ireland and further afield. So they had somebody outside the custom house taking pictures and chronicling what people were saying and stuff like that, documenting what it was saying. Because you go on Irish Times and you go on these places and they're like, look at all these people gathered here, and it is concerning. And I think that the numbers are growing, and the kind of COVID certificate is a perfect kind of incitement for this. But it is great to have it broken down by the Beacon and hear some of the stuff that's being said, which is quite mad. One of the ones that they kept chanting is that they're the ones who don't want to get vaccinated. They're the 99%. They keep chanting.
Right.
Which is a really funny thing, because obviously that's taken from the 1% of whatever the world owns.
Yeah, it's taken from Occupy Wall Street.
Yeah, exactly. So it's Occupy Wall Street rhetoric, but it makes absolutely no sense when combined with vaccinations, because all of the evidence would suggest the exact opposite with that, of people taking up the vaccine.
Yeah. Would you mind if I went and got a cup of coffee and something to eat? I'll be back in 5 minutes.
No, not at all. Yeah, sure.
I'm feeling very low energy.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll be back. We can chat while I eat. I'll pause this now.
Cool. All right. And we're back. And so continuing on this thread of the protest that happened yesterday. And I've seen people say, I know some people who went to that because they're just pissed off about everything that the government is doing, and then they left before the speeches, so they don't realize how crazy people are. It's and then you're looking at some of the pictures here, and it's some of the stuff that's there, it's I think it's impossible to be at that thing without realizing how crazy it is.
Even just the people.
I don't think I accept. Yeah. But
because I know someone was walking by.
Yeah.
And they were you could just smell it off. They were insane.
Yeah. You can see, but I mean, I think the people are getting to a stage where it's just whatever. It's that 99% quote that I just said there. It's just goes to show the kind of confusion of the whole messaging and everything that's happening. It's just a general we're pissed off about this, and you're not doing something probably. And I mean, definitely we're living through it as well. We're pissed off with the government for being a shit at what they're doing, but still. So they split their time on the thread between Dublin and Cork. So Cork also had a big protest. Vaccine certificates being described as apartheid and segregation. Speaker attacking Michael D. Higgins, saying he is a man of the cabal. The occult and the cabal are behind the vaccines and the dining law signed by Higgins during the week. So they bring up the Rothschilds. So, people are saying anti-Semitic dog whistle, obviously. I'm trying to find this one because it was really funny. Basically, I think it's further down, But Ben Gilroy was having like, he went on stage. He was like one of the heavy hitters in the thing. Okay?
Yeah.
Him and Dolores Cahill were there, and then things were being held up because Dolores Cahill and him were getting into an argument backstage.
Oh, really?
And it was over something to do with like Instagram followers and or something like that. And so Zainab was telling me that apparently there's a thing with Dolores Cahill and Instagram followers, or something to do with social media response. Okay. And she believes that she's being silenced by people within her own group,
right,
essentially. And so this is apparently what happened, according to a patron of the show, Zainab. She said that Dolores Cahill kept going on about her social media, and then they like turned off her mic. This is at a different event, not this one, but it's just, it continues into this event, which makes it funny. So they turned off her mic, and then she was like, let me speak. I was like, okay, we'll let you speak, but please do not mention your social media followers again and the conspiracy behind that. She's like, fine. Turn on her mic. Immediately starts talking about social media followers and how they're be dwindling numbers.
Yeah, because when she was trying to get into the vote count place,
yeah,
she was like, I have more followers than Leo Varadkar or the president or any of this sort of stuff. Like, she's that. She's obsessed with the social media. She seems to think it like... Yeah. If whatever amount of people follow you, that you have the mandate of those people. You know?
Yeah. Right, so it's like fucking Aoife Grace Moore. She's one of my disciples. She follows me on every social media account. But anyway, Ben Gilroy went up on stage, and I think he was having like mic issues or something. Let me just try and get this thing up. But basically, anyways, he was talking about Michael D. Higgins, okay? And then, just as he was kind of getting to some kind of climactic bit of his speech, everything was kind of fucking up. And then somebody started a chant of pedo for Michael D. Higgins. And then he started to encourage it. Like, Michael D. Higgins, pedo. Michael D. Higgins, pedo. Because everyone they don't like is a pedo. You know? That's
a real QAnon vibe, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a bunch of stuff about fluoride in the water as well, which is... Oh, no, that's not the QAnon. Speaker now describing the vaccines as a genetic experiment on our children. Very, very strong QAnon vibes here, says the Beacon.
Like, the pedo thing is the strongest one, because they like...
Yeah.
Anyone in a position of power who they don't like is involved in that, like, adrenochrome harvesting, child molesting cult, you know? It's funny you just said, like... They're going to the stage where Michael D. Higgins is complicit.
Yeah. Like, I've seen some people like Gavin Riley, not to call him out directly, but they're kind of as part of, like, the politics, what a concept type thing.
He's head of that. Come on, like, yeah. He loves the politics, what a concept.
Yeah. As in, like, a new poll by Red Sea out, and then he'll be like the one to share the Josh from West Wing going, game on.
Yeah.
He'll be like that type of guy. So he loves this type of shit, and so he's kind of saying like
I like it in a show. Like, I like the West Wing, you know.
Oh man, this is yeah.
But I don't like it in real life. You know.
How long has it been since you've seen the West Wing?
I don't know, but I could still. I watched that one, the trial of the Chicago 7. Okay. And I really liked it.
Interesting.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it. I listened to a lot of reviews for it by all of my favorite fucking echo chamber lefty podcasts. And apparently it's very historically inaccurate, but I wouldn't expect any less from Aaron Sorkin. But like, one of the things that Chapo did say was, like, to his credit, he knows how to write like courtroom shit. So they can't help but feel a little bit kind of not moved, but like you're brought along by the energy.
Yeah, to me it's like watching a sports film. It's like, I don't care about the rules of the sport. Like, you know, I just want to watch a bit of drama. It's a good vehicle for drama, you know.
Yeah, that's what they were saying anyway. But yeah, I haven't watched it. and I haven't even really watched The West Wing. The only way I've seen The West Wing is through The West Wing Thing, the podcast with Dave Anthony and Josh Olson,
Right.
where they dissect episodes of The West Wing. They actually had an Irish writer on at one point to talk them through an episode. It was around the time that John Hume died, and then they had a depiction of basically like I suppose what would amount to Sinn Féin versus the English government in the White House, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so she was on, and she was being I thought she was being pretty fair to it, but I haven't seen it, and I'm really getting a very filtered version of it.
I don't remember that
just,
episode. Really?
Yeah, it's. I don't think it plays a major role. I think it's just that they have this kind of like snooty aristocrat who's like the British ambassador, and then there's like an Irish ambassador, and there's a whole kind of back and forth with it. But anyway, it was good that they had somebody on from Ireland to talk about it. And you look her up, and like it's not like she doesn't have like mad credits. Like, you know, most podcasts with that type of thing, they're like, here's the people, the host of this podcast, and they've done this and they've done this. And it's like, she was just some writer that they knew. And let me look this up. Irish West Wing thing. Mary Kate, I think her name is Mary Kate Flannery. Oh, Flanagan, sorry. Mary Kate O'Flanagan.
Oh, I know her.
Yeah.
She's from the north, or she lives in the north or something.
I think she has experience in that kind of way. I don't know how exactly. I can't remember. I might go back and listen to it again, see if it's worth it. But anywho, I just mean Gavin Riley was like retweeting stuff. He was tweeting stuff like, well, actually, you know, the president, he's basically obligated to sign anything that comes onto his desk. You know? So it's not really like he had any choice over it. And I was like, why are you bothering?
Yeah.
Why do you feel the need to do this? It's like they either don't know this and don't care, or they know this and don't care. Either way, it's, you know.
I suppose it's a point worth making, even just for the people on Twitter who maybe... It's just only... I know, I feel like he's not trying to convince Ben Gilroy, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just trying to convince, like, some loser who follows him.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm being too hard.
Yeah, Gavin Quinn, or whatever your name is. We hardly knew ye.
Apology. Saving kind of the best for last, I've read it out of sequence here, but a character who appeared on the podcast before also was speaking at this rally, and so the Beacon have it up. Now up is Terry McMahon. I don't know if you remember Terry McMahon.
Who was he?
He was like a film director, but he's like kind of... He directed that movie Charlie Casanova, which we thought we should watch at some point.
Oh, yeah. I remember
should.
you talking about.
And he's famous for appearing on Paddy Houlihan's podcast and calling his daughter a lazy, entitled piece of shit.
He's free.
Yeah, so he went up there and he's talking about sperm, apparently. Yeah. And this is the most annoying thing that Twitter does, whereby... They put a morsel in front of you, and it's like, actually, I'm not going to spread any more of this guy's words. You know, I'm not going to give him the satisfaction. You're like, fuck off. Like, just give me the whole thing. I want to know everything that Terry McMahon said. And so they only have highlights, and he calls it the feel-good factor of abortion, as he described it, is linked to the use of vaccines. If the former is legal, then the latter seems like nothing by comparison.
So if abortions are legal, vaccines seem like nothing in comparison.
That's what he's saying.
Like, vaccines have been legal in this country since they were invented.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not entirely sure what he's... But, like, once you hear the next few things that he says, and, like, you kind of realize, like, maybe he's just in this kind of cloud of... reactionary media. He's just like hitting all of these notes in a very strange way. So the next thing he says, he's now attacking the Gender Recognition Act and critical race theory, and now attacking people taking the knee.
So I wonder where he's getting this from.
It was taken from the top. So he comes out, he talks about sperm. They don't elaborate on what he did there.
I really wonder what he's saying. Because here's the thing, it almost makes me think, it's true. You know what I mean? They're
on.
like,
Yeah.
oh, he's talking about critical race theory. You know, we all know that. You know, all the other stuff, they give you all the details because they know it's bullshit. You know. Whereas, and then he's like, and then he said something about sperm. Then you don't need to hear about what he said about sperm. You know.
Yeah.
Don't even think about it. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, what if that's the bit that's true?
Yeah, well, actually, this is radicalizing me. It's supposed to have the opposite effect, but unfortunately now I'm going to be out there next weekend fighting for my rights and the sovereignty of this nation. And if you don't think that's important, well, I guess then get vaccinated with Soros' fucking microchips.
I just want to hear what he has to say about sperm. What do you think he was saying?
No, I know. So do I. I'm you know, I mean, this is what I'm talking about, isn't like this thing of like, oh, I don't want to platform him, but here's something he said. And anyways, I'm just going to stop platforming him now. It's like, don't stop now.
You've already started.
Get to the end of it. You know?
I'm going to look up COVID sperm.
Yeah. So he gives out about taking the knee. And the last one that the last one they say is McMahon is just waffling about a bunch of unconnected things and misconstruing them. The crowd is far from interested. And then he finishes up and a woman who's dressed as a cow comes on stage and starts addressing them.
Yeah, you already said Dolores Cahill was present. Okay, so
got him.
COVID sperm vaccine. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Okay, go for it. I presume it's the same thing about most vaccine conspiracies where it makes you infertile or autistic.
So I'm trying to find like maybe I should go to like, what's a dodgier?
Yeah, Ungripped, something like that.
Maybe DuckDuckGo. I want something that's like, you know, Google with their liberal agenda.
Yeah.
Block.
Yeah.
COVID vaccine. Spermulation.
Spermulation. Just reading some other things from that's happening here. They all gave the Roman salute.
They have the Nazi salute.
Yeah.
I can't find anything.
Yeah, so this is unfair. It's unfair to put somebody like Terry McMahon in front of us and then to not have a follow-up to the shit that he says. Because I love everything that he says.
Yeah. Just look up Terry McMahon.
Yeah. One thing he was being interviewed by the IFI because of, I don't know why, because he's a film director, obviously. But he made a comment about how there's a movie called like Float Like a Butterfly about a female traveler boxer. And he was giving out about it because he was kind of saying that that's the only type of film that gets made is if it ticks all of these boxes. And then her dad was abusive in it and burned in a house fire or something like that. And he's like, typical that the man dies in the film, you know? So,
typical that the man dies.
Well, he died because he was, he left a fry on or something. So he was annoyed that the man had died from his own ineptitude. One time I was like, I think they were talking about having him on in the IFI again or somebody shared something in some group I was in. I was like, stop sharing this fucking idiot. And then he commented underneath like, I'll make sure to tell me when I see, or something like that, you know. And I was like, yeah, fuck off. And then I saw him literally in the street about 10 minutes later, and I thought he recognized me, but he didn't say
You were like, what were you saying about sperm?
Yeah. Oh, God. Now I wish I could see him. I gotta get off this recording immediately.
Just wander the streets.
Oh, my God. I just looked up his IMDb. I didn't realize he's actually in Batman Begins as a bad SWAT cop.
Really?
Typical that a man would be a bad SWAT cop in Batman Begins.
I can't find anything about it's more annoying now that it's like he seems to have done original research.
Yeah. I want to see your thesis, man.
Yeah. Well, let's just decide what it could have been.
Okay.
COVID vaccine sperm. Could there have been sperm in it?
Yeah, it's Tony Houlihan's is just putting a specimen into
like maybe it could be like Bill Gates it like alters your sperm to be his. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's actually, you know, the way that Bill Gates wants to live forever. Well, the way he's figured it out is not that he's going to be turned into some sort of code or AI that bats around someplace. It's that his consciousness will be carried on through multiple people.
Yeah, to his children.
Yeah, to his children. Wink, wink. You know. Because it happened in Batman Beyond, if you remember.
It is funny how like they're always giving out about Bill Gates, and everyone's like,
yeah.
You know, like, not quite like leave Bill Gates out of it, but like Bill Gates is really bad, and like,
yeah,
he does do mad stuff where he's like, here's a new education system, you know, like he does have a massive cultural and very subtle or behind the scenes influence on American society.
Oh, big.
And
time.
then it's like there's going to be that people's vaccine, where they're going to get rid of the copyright on the vaccine so you can make their own. And he's like, you will not be doing that. You know? And there's loads of stuff like that where it's just like, he is real nefarious.
Yeah, no, big time.
But it's almost like he's nefarious enough without turning your sperm into his own, you know?
Yeah.
Or maybe he isn't.
You know, the fact that he kind of got into these rooms and is kind of deemed an expert and has the influence and sway over these policies when he's just making it up as any other pundit on Twitter is a really dangerous thing. And it's really funny how all of these conspiracy theories kind of link to something which is correct, you know, almost. I don't know if you saw it during the week, but Dominic Cummings was interviewed again by Laura Kuenssberg. And
no,
he had more dirt to dish, but like nobody's particularly interested because he basically is just repeating stuff that happened and that everybody knows. And then now, for some reason, it gives the British press permission to find it appalling.
Okay.
You know? So he's going like, did you know that Boris Johnson lied?
Yeah.
You know? And you're like, yes, I did. And then he's like, did you know that a small group of us Tory insiders decided that Boris Johnson would be Prime Minister, and as soon as he was voted in, then we were thinking about how we could get rid of him, because he was useful as like a puppet, but because of how much he was fucking up COVID, we were like, fuck, we need to do something about this. And it's like, yes, I also
was
knew
incredibly
that.
obvious.
You know. Yeah.
I didn't even realize you thought it was a secret. Like,
yeah, I know. And then Laura Kuenssberg is like, are you seriously suggesting? This is Laura Kuenssberg, by the way, who has like the phone number of Dominic Cummings. Do you remember, like, ages ago, the last time he gave testimony, he was saying that he had the direct line to Laura Kuenssberg, and then the BBC just cut that out. Do you remember?
No.
Where they're like, just coming up next to letting you know if you're just joining us, this is testimony from Dominic Cummings, talking over him as he's saying, I remember sending text to Laura Kuenssberg.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
Like, and then the next thing was Laura Kuenssberg she's always quick to do things like before, pre-COVID, she was the one who do you remember, like, Boris was doing the rounds at hospitals to try and promote himself before the election, and then a dad came up to him and was like, my kid's in hospital and you're dismantling the NHS, and like, how dare you show your face here. And she was the one to go out. He's a Labour activist, it turns out.
Yeah.
It's like, all right. So he ceases to be a constituent or a citizen who gives a shit about politics when he's with the party that you don't like. Anyway, so she's the most compromised person in politics, and to have her in political journalism, and to have her just go up there and kind of be like, are you suggesting to me that actually we're controlled by a cabal of elites? It's like, yes, of course. But anyway, it's like, I don't know, some of the conclusions that you come to then without, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you blame some of these people. I mean, obviously some of them are like Ben Gilroy, and I think the jury's out for me personally with Dolores Carroll. I think she might just be insane. But with Ben Gilroy, he does feel like a genuine, like somebody who's always trying to take advantage of, for want of a better word, like populist kind of movements that take root here.
Dolores Carroll, she gets so distracted by like so many things it's hard to imagine she has a single girl. Do you know what I mean? She's just like,
Yeah.
she's at this rally and all she can talk about is the amount of Facebook followers she has. It's
Yeah,
like, it's hard
exactly.
to imagine that she is actually like plotting. You know?
Yeah.
With Ben Gilroy stays on message, you know? Whatever that insane
every
message
single
might
time.
be.
He's ridiculously right wing, but also like he's somebody who seems to look at the news and pay attention to it. Because you remember, like, the yellow vest movement here is now synonymous with racism. When over in France, when it took off, it was like a huge thing. It was
Yeah.
like they were kind of identified by the yellow vest because of the work that they were doing, but they like closed down like entire roads, and they were like really aggressive kind of strikes by workers.
Yeah.
And it was a movement that looked like, but then, you know, it gets kind of tarred by the media and whatnot, and suddenly it becomes like, oh, it's racist. And then, you know, then Ben Gilroy is like, yeah, how can I turn this into something that's ugly and racist? And I guess he succeeded in Ireland anyway. And I'm not sure what the yellow jacket or yellow vest movement over in France is, how it's perceived now. But ultimately, like, at the time,
Yeah, France is such a weird style of cultural
Yeah.
conflict that it's like, it can be hard to tell what's going on. It's so alien, you know?
yeah, exactly. I remember, like, a friend of mine was like, there was a big protest happening, and they were like, I guess sometimes you just presume, like, hey, protest, good, you know. This is like years ago, and they like joined it, and it turned out it was like an anti-LGBTQ
Oh, really?
protest, and yeah, and like Islamophobic and all this type of shit.
Apparently that happened to a few
Okay.
people in, or not even a few, like there's that whole thing in with the Cuban protest,
Yeah,
and it was like loads of people thought, oh, they were protesting Cuba, they must be the people rising up, and then it was
Right,
just
yeah.
like, no, I don't know, like there was one thing on Twitter and a woman turned up to one in Florida. It was like
Yeah.
supporting the Cuban, what do you call it? Not revolution. What was the other thing? Just protest.
right.
And she was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
there sure are a lot of Trump hats around here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is confusing because in America, it's like, you know, I think they all kind of suffer from that same delusion, like the hopelessly lib Democrats and the Republicans, which is that they think that America is like the greatest country on earth, you know, and it's like anybody who's their judgment is like, well, you know, because back in the day with the Iraq War, remember that? Remember that you heard about
Yeah.
this? Where like you know, John Kerry would be running, and it would be like, I'm going to do the war the right way. It's this kind of this idea that like American interference in these areas is warranted because America's great, obviously. So Cuba is on this island, and they're under a brutal regime of dictators like Castro, and obviously they want to be part of America, or they want Americans to come in, and it's like, I think that of course that would confuse you if you wanted to join that sort of protest, and then you realize that you're sharing the crowd with these Trump people who are just like of the same opinion. America's great. Why wouldn't you want to be part of here? It's like, actually, they just want, in many cases, like even the people who are anti-government over in Cuba would agree that the embargoes need to be lifted so that they can actually live a sustainable life. Like, one of the ones that was most shocking is that they've developed a vaccine themselves, kind of through tremendous effort. You know, and they have a great, a much more egalitarian healthcare system over there, but it's affected by the embargoes like everything else. But one of the things that was most shocking is that they might have the vaccine, but they don't have enough syringes because of the embargo on medical supplies like that.
Really?
Which is just mad. Yeah. And a lot of people have discovered by, you know, the kind of Trump or, you know, right wingers, the ones who'd go there and take pictures of the one type of fucking tomato on the shelf and be like, look, they have no choice. Like, we have capitalism. But then they're trying to set up like GoFundMe things, but they're being met with how difficult it is to actually even do a GoFundMe for people in Cuba because of how the money can be spent or allocated or even sent over. It's like there's loads of rules around this.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And it's mad how like, yeah, the embargo has just become completely hidden, you know? Like anytime you hear criticism of Cuba about it, they can't do something or they don't have enough whatever, is always pinned on their system of government as opposed to like the fact that there's a semi-international embargo against them. Same with
exactly.
like with Venezuela, where people are like, look how fucked Venezuela is, and they're all starving to death and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like there are a lot of embargoes against. You know?
Same with Iran as well, and people kind of say that the embargoes aren't like violence, but then the flip side, actually, this is linking to another thing. The flip side is they'll be like, whatever, they're just embargoes, and they're just like they act like they're not affecting real people. But then same people would also be like, if you tried to do the BDS for Israel, they would be like, hey, that's violence. You can't do that. You know, we need to crack down. There's like in America, there's like it's illegal in certain states to be a part of the BDS movement.
Is it?
And yeah, like a lot of more right wing, but also like emboldened by, because it has broad support across the American political landscape because of the lobbying efforts of Israel.
Yeah.
But anyhow, like I just thought that was interesting because during the week this came up as well, which was the Ben and Jerry's were making. I thought they had some sort of factory or manufacturing within occupied Palestinian territories or in Israel or something like this, okay? But basically they tried to do like this gesture now to kind of show that they're not pro-Zionist. And they were like, good news, everybody. We will not be selling our ice cream in occupied Israeli territory, as in the territories of Palestine that Israel is occupying, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We will, however, continue to sell it within Israel, okay? And so that's pleased pretty much nobody. Because it's like, not that like, I think people, you know, in those areas probably have more pressing concerns than whether they're able to buy like very expensive and not very good ice cream, okay?
Yeah.
But like, in theory, the idea of it like is like, so you're telling me the people in those areas won't be able to buy it, but the Israeli settlers will still be able to buy it, but also they're now going to deliberately boycott it because they're like, look at you making this even minuscule gesture towards the Palestinians, fuck you. And it's such a strange, unforced thing, but it's led to like a lot of very funny people just throwing out entire refrigerators full of ice cream, and it's like, how do you have so much ice cream? Like, those are very expensive tubs. And then Rory Cowan, I think his name is, you know, the Mrs. Brown's guy who became like really big Fine Gaeler.
Is he? I didn't know that.
Well, he's like a very vocal on Twitter. He just is like incredibly right wing, but now he's like, well, won't be eating Ben and Jerry's anymore.
Did he say that?
And he's like, now I'm only going to eat Haagen-Dazs, and he's like to own the libs, and he's like showing all of the ice cream he's throwing in the
Rory
bin.
Stories? The Mrs. Barnes guy?
Yeah, Rory, not Brendan O'Carroll. Rory
Oh,
Cowan,
that guy who does
like,
the... yeah, that guy's a prick.
some sort of... Yeah, what's his deal? Is he...
He's real pro... he's real pro-Israel for some reason.
Yeah, that's one of the strangest things, is to be...
Like, it's not even a fan
like,
base in Ireland.
No, not Fine Gael would be like, in their heads, they'd be like, well, we got to be careful, we have to assure, you know, people have the right to, you know, their own sovereignty and, you know, blah, blah, blah. They would couch their kind of support of Israel in different terms, and they wouldn't be as, like, out and out about it. But, like, this guy, for some reason, he's just gone whole hog in on it.
Yeah.
You know? End of... Oh, right. Sorry. I thought he was in a end of Cuba embargo. But no, it's end of Cuba dictatorship. So he was at some protest. But anyhow, that was just interesting. And... but he's like... He did something like, I buy a Ben & Jerry's tub each week and I've enjoyed it forever. Not anymore. And... I don't know. Maybe it's not that weird, but there was something very strange to me about just... eating an entire tub of ice cream by yourself each week.
I feel like trying to make a political statement and then it's based around like ice cream is just very lame, you know?
Yeah. But that was that one. There's not really much to say on that. It's just a really kind of stupid gesture that doesn't seem to have made them... I don't know.
Is that noise on my end or your end?
What's the noise? It's like clicking.
There's some talking or something.
Really? No, I can't. It must be on your end because I can't hear anything.
Maybe it's just a TV or something. But like, what do you think that guy's trying to do? The Rory Karen guy. Like,
it was kind of interesting because he strikes me as like a young Fine Gael, even though he's fucking ancient, you know? And I think that's just it. It's like, it's a kind of hybrid culture war, likes to be involved in politics, has chosen his side, and now he's just like adamant to kind of antagonize people and piss them off. And that seems to be it, really. Like, there doesn't seem to be any real goal necessarily. It's kind of just politics as a hobby. I mean, it kind of is. It's not dissimilar to Terry McMahon going up there and spouting off about critical race theory and the Gender Recognition Act when he's talking about anti-vaccines. It's like it's somehow everybody's lumped in together. Like Biden is a member of the far left for some reason over in the States. And it's kind of like a confusing mesh of all of these things, but it's people who like to do politics as a hobby. So they don't actually have any ideology. They just know the people they don't like and want to piss them off. So, all right, we're going to stop there at about an hour. There is another hour, but that is behind the Patreon wall. Patreon.com/Celtic Ligers for the second half of this episode. Sorry for the bit of sporadic delivery of these, but I recently had a film play in the Galway Film Flat. It's called Pork. It's by my animation studio, My Aunt Sally. I don't want to say that too often on this podcast in case it gets any of the things I say here get linked back to my fellow collaborators. But anyhow, check it out at any festivals that are going. If you go on My Aunt Sally socials, you can just follow there and figure out when it's going to be screening next. Now back to the podcast already in progress. So anyway, that's that.
Without the patrons?
We do. Patreon.com/Celtic Ligers. $5 a month gets you a bonus episode each week. And we got quite a back catalogue now. And it's also has other... Like, we don't just talk about the news and current affairs. We also talk about movies on there, including the Brexit movie and the V for Vendetta movie. So there's some timeless classics up there for you to enjoy. And we also thank you at the end of each free episode. So if you don't want to be thanked, then let us know and we can also make that happen for you. Also, yeah?
Go on.
I was just going to say a plug as well that if you see... I just feel like we need to support people. So James's feature film debut in Bicycle Thieves Pumped Up by Conor O'Toole, and it's basically about bikes and in a pre-COVID Dublin, and it has amazing music and it really captures a moment that I don't know if we're going to get back again in a hurry, and especially with people who are being fucking evicted, forced to move away, and the stuff that COVID has also accelerated. So I'd recommend checking it out. It's at the Fla. I don't know where it's going to be next, but also I don't know why I'm promoting somebody else's movie. I have a film out. It's Pork. It's called Pork. It's a short film. Keep an eye out for it at other festivals also. That's those sort of plugs. Is there any other plug?
No.
Well, I'm soon going to be on an episode We Need to Talk About Kevin, so I'm very much looking forward to...
What is that? Explain that to the people.
That's a podcast about the movies of Kevin Smith, and they made me read a comic book that he wrote, and we recorded for a very long time, surprisingly, about this incredibly flimsy Hit Girl comic book that he wrote. And I thought it was pretty good. So when that's out, we'll let you know. But check out We Need to Talk About Kevin. They really were eager to promote our podcast, by the way, as well. They were very...
really?
Yeah, they were very nice about it. I was quite chuffed. There's a bit of trivia, which I'll tell you off mic, but everybody else, you have to wait for the podcast.
Okay.
But one of the hosts is linked to Irish politics in a funny way. All right, so let's thank the patrons, and the theme is what? What's the theme?
The theme is COVID-19.
COVID-19. It's a virus. It's sick. People are sick. They're dying.
Okay, so first up is Ben.
Ben. Thank you, Ben. Really appreciate it. And Ben, man, I've been sick before, but not like this COVID here.
I've been sick like this. It's just a flu. Just a little old flu.
I've been sick like a dog.
And I got better. Like a
dog. Like a dog.
Zeta
I got better like a
fee?
dog. Yeah, and that is, hey, get your jabs, lo-fi people who love lo-fi music.
To study to.
Hmm?
You know, lo-fi beats to study to.
Yeah, sure. I think I understand that.
You never heard of the lo-fi beats to study to meme?
No.
They're just like these big long, like 10-hour compilations. They're all called like lo-fi beats to study to.
Oh, those ones. Yeah, no, I have. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I do know that. I know things. I know
Sean Donnelly. What about
Sean
Stephen
Donnelly.
Donnelly?
I think we do that a lot, which is very funny. But I want to contribute more to the Stephen Donnelly. What Stephen Donnelly are we creating now?
He's
He gets
bald.
the vaccines. I'm imagining him like Pinhead from those movies, you know, the Hellraiser movies.
Yeah,
And
you know
just
he's
got a
only
bunch
gone
of,
bald since he got the vaccine.
but he's got all these vaccines coming out of his head like Pinhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to my world of infinite pleasure.
Yeah. Did you watch the latest episode of Rick and Morty? Actually,
No.
They've made some of their worst episodes I think they've ever made in the show, but they did like a parody of Hellraiser where they're kind of going like, your pain gives me pleasure, you know, and then they go like, I can't remember. Anyway, they kind of find these kind of hypocrisies in the idea of pain giving pleasure, and it's a funny one. It's a rare
I've
funny moment
loved this
in
season. I thought it's been
bad-
one of the better ones.
Do you think that?
Yeah, I love it.
Are you serious? Are you?
I didn't like the last season 4,
I liked the last one.
but I much prefer this one.
I just really didn't like the episode with the horse people.
Why not?
I just thought it was too silly. Like, it reminded me of like when The Simpsons was going bad and they have like a non sequitur ending that just they gave up halfway through the script.
I think it was just sort of like a bit more self-aware. That they were
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
this one's silly, so let's just throw in some horse people to make it actually more silly.
Yeah.
You know?
What was it again? What was the other part of the horse people thing?
There was a whole thing with the sperm.
Oh yeah, that was fucking rank. Yeah.
It's
yeah,
funny
yeah.
if people hated that. I didn't think it was that bad.
No, I didn't like it.
You and your man,
Who?
the guy who's talking about sperm.
Oh yeah, Terry McMahon's going up there. And another thing, the vaccine made Rick and Morty bad.
Yeah.
Kevin
Larney.
Yeah, Stephen Pinhead Donnelly, and he's got a load of vaccines coming out. Or Stephen Donnelly got the vaccine and all his hair fell out. So this is the version of Stephen Donnelly that's being created by your name, Sean Donnelly. Thank you very much for your money. Kevin Larney. How about it? It's like a vaccine, but it's got "Try Me" written on it, and it's like, "Hey, Kevin, try me." That's so bad.
No, that's a good one. You go into like Boots and there's like tester vaccine.
Yeah, it's like, "Hey, Kevin, try me," and it's like, "How did you get my information? This is a breach of GDPR."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Podcast na heron.
podcast na heron. What about Smodcast na rare strain? Okay.
Go on.
And this is the we were talking about Kevin Smith. So Kevin Smith's podcast is Smodcast, and that's the variant of the virus that is created when a super spreader event that happens as a result of a live Kevin Smith podcast recording, and it just makes you want to wear like very long shorts and look like shit, generally speaking.
Mikey Finn.
I think it's Mickey Finn.
What
Pricky shin when you get it in your shin, you know, the vaccine.
about? Yeah, that's where I got mine.
Yeah. They were like, "Where'd you want it?" Can I get it in my knee? And they're like, where the customer is always right. you
Yeah.
know?
I'll get it in my behind.
Yeah.
Joanne Heffernan. What about Joanne Pangolin?
Yeah. Yes. God damn, that's good. That's a good one. Yeah.
Because if pangolin fucked a bat or something and
Yeah, something there.
got
Are you
AIDS.
telling me that a virus is created by something not fucking somebody else?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Benson, and do not say Benson.
Ben's son
Say-
fucked a bat.
Yeah, he fucked a pangolin.
He fucked a pangolin and died.
Oh, very-
Unrelated, a bat fucked a pangolin.
Stents in. I'm getting my stents in. What's a stent again? Do you remember what I'm talking about? It's for your heart, actually, isn't it? It's where you have like a stent put in.
Francis Breen.
Not something to do with the vaccine. Francis vaccine. COVID vaccine. Francis.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, cool.
Simon Akers.
Akers. Jarman. Jakers.
What?
I don't know why I would say Jakers, but Jakers is what they, when you're in the island, they get a Jaker instead of a jab. So,
Do they?
you know, no. That's something I've made up. I presume that they have different words for everything over there.
Yeah.
You call that a vaccine, we call it a Jaker.
Yeah. For no reason.
Mark Stokes.
What about Mark Strokes? Because the vaccine gives people strokes. Because they get blood clots in their brain.
We highly recommend not taking the vaccine. So, Mark Maloney.
What about Mark Baloney? Because the vaccines will hogwash and baloney.
How about when you take it, you smell baloney, and that's how you know you're about to have a stroke.
Yeah, you die. You die smelling baloney.
Yeah. Blahin de Burka. Well, let's hear it for...
The workers.
Let's hear it for the fucking frontline de workers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good, actually.
Alan Carroll.
Alan Carroll. Trevelyan's Cornell. Okay, now give me a second with this one.
This one is ambitious.
This one took quite a turn. It's about you stole Trevelyan's corn. What about the modern day version of Trevelyan's corn, which is the fucking vaccine off of Bill Gates, because he just won't give it to people in the third world. Okay,
Steal it out of his house.
Yeah, he's got it there. He's having a few vaccines with the lads.
Yeah.
They're pouring one out for Jeffrey Epstein, their best friend.
Pouring 500 million out.
Cracking a vial up and just pouring it out. This is what he would have wanted. More people to suffer.
Yeah.
Stephen Bradley.
We do Alan Carroll.
Yeah, we just did. I said Trevelyan's Corner.
Oh yeah,
Did you
did I
not
forget
hear?
that one?
How could you forget?
Stephen Bradley.
About the variant that makes you like tradly, okay? Makes you like trad music, all right? Variant tradly. That's what I call it.
What about it's just a traditional variant like the first one that came from China or whatever?
Yeah, we just call it the Stephen Bradley variant because it came from Stephen Bradley.
Yeah.
Yeah. None of this nonsense with Delta and whatever other bullshit they come up with. Just say where it's from. Just call it the China flu.
Yeah, just call it the Wuhan karate flu or whatever.
It is fun. It is annoying that it's racist to call it the Wuhan flu because that is a fucking killer name.
I don't think it is racist.
Because the syllables. I mean, it sounds like it was created on the Den, doesn't it? Like the Wuhan flu. Like
Yeah,
it would be in a
it sounds
pedo comic.
like something in Jackie Chan Adventures.
Yeah, yeah.
And is that racist? Richard Zimmerman.
Richard Zimmerman, is that racist? And the answer, of course, is racist Shinner man. Okay,
Oh,
so
that's a good one.
yeah, the Shinners who hate to take. This is so embarrassing, but I actually hate the word Shinner. I actually find it. I treat it like I treat the word trot, where I find it just a pejorative that really pisses me off because I feel like there should be some sort of solidarity with people believe enough of what we believe. But yet, for some reason, I have no problem with blue shirt. Go figure.
Yeah. Bridget Purcell.
But yeah, the reason we said Shinnerman there is because apparently they'd be very unlikely to get the vaccine according to certain polls. So Bridget Purcell.
Wait, what was that?
There was a poll that was conducted about like people basically there's a lot of vaccine skeptics who would be supporters of Sinn Féin.
Right.
But I don't know who conducted these polls. And
What about
the point is,
Bridget Purcell? What about Wicked? Power cell. And I'm talking about the power cell of the virus.
yeah,
Which is like its heart or whatever.
yeah. What about the frigid
Fridge. What about the frigid fridge? You know?
The frigid fridge where you need to keep all your vaccines?
Do they still need to do that?
Bad. I don't know, because I was thinking about that. I was like, when they were like, oh, these vaccines go off, and now it's like, hey, we got a bunch of them from Romania, and it's like, are we not worried that they're going to be like gone off or something?
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of fuss about the fridges, and then you just do not hear about that.
Yeah.
Milky Fox. What about Milky Eyes?
Kilkee.
Kilkeelocks. What about Kilkeelocks?
Yeah, okay. Spell that one out for me. Figure that out.
Kilkeelocks. Because it kills some fella called Keelocks.
Yeah, when he takes the vaccine.
When he takes the vaccine. And he was healthy.
Yeah.
He was just a healthy young man. They killed him straight up.
Yeah, and he was he had 12 boiled eggs a day, the healthiest food you can have. He died of a heart attack. Can you believe that? Fun fact, that is actually your man Feldman. What's it? I think his name's Marty Feldman, but that's actually how he died apparently.
It'd be funny if
12 boiled eggs a day.
You know the way to start a Rocky, he drinks the raw eggs.
Yeah.
That guy is like, he's drinking a pint of boiled egg. It's like swallowing them up. Kylo
Needle in your arm.
In your eye. Conor Barry.
Cash and carry, because that's what we have to do, isn't it? No,
yeah, you bloody have to carry cash anywhere.
Yeah, to bring it to the vaccine. And they're like, I was like, how much is that again? And they were like, that'll be $13.50.
That'll be 13,000, fucking, yen.
Yeah. And so the next one is Liam McCartan. And it's like I'm imagining somebody opening up a carton of vaccines and smelling it and go, ooh, did you put this in the fridge? Well, it was out for a bit.
Yeah, you gotta leave it in the fridge.
It's gone off, this vaccine.
They're not like eggs, they go off.
Yeah. Yeah. Claire O'Neill rare old pool on, and that's where you can also, if you don't wear sandals in the pool, you can also get COVID.
You get a verruca.
Yep, that's what a nun taught me in SPHE. Niall McGillicuddy.
What about Niall? I'll kill a fool.
Kill the fool.
Said Bill Gates.
Oh, I'll kill the fool, said Bill Gates. I'll kill the fool who don't get the vaccine.
Yeah, who doesn't pay.
Yeah. Doesn't pay for the vaccine. Ronan Kerry. Boy, it's scary to not be vaccinated. I hope you're not one of them. Hope you all get jabs.
We don't want any unvaccinated people listening to this podcast.
So please double your subscription if you are unvaccinated.
Yeah, we're going to be introducing a new unvaccinated rate. Niamh Kelly.
Oh wait, how about scheme to sell the vaccine? That's Bill Gates.
That's Bill Gates as well.
Together with George Soros, presumably the Rothschilds, and Terry McMahon. Surprisingly enough, don't know what he's doing there, but he's managed to bluff his way in.
Paulie Doyle,
a haul of spoiled vaccines. You got a big haul, but they're all spoiled.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And finally, Joseph Joyce.
Joseph Fritzl.
Wrote itself, that one. Joe Joyce, who graciously bought a ticket for a film that off of me. I couldn't go to it.
Did you meet him?
County Hell.
Did you meet Joe Joyce?
No, I didn't. I had 2 tickets to a film yesterday and just wasn't prepared to watch it, so he bought one of the tickets. so I didn't make a total loss. But I wasted a lot of money on tickets for things I did not go to see. Well, it wasn't really that much, actually. I think it was probably just €22, but still, that's enough. So, Joe Joyce.
Look, we have no voice in this society anymore because he's not vaccinated.
Yeah, and what about COVID Joyce? And it's a lot like Typhoid Mary, except it's Joe Joyce, and he's determined to just give COVID to everybody.
Yeah, and they keep being like, "Stop, turn it up."
Yeah, stop coughing in people's mouths.
Yeah, he's like, "No,
I can't. 'Tis my nature.
I shan't."
You kind of introduced me to that guy Aidan Killian, who was like that traveling guy, traveling comedian, not from the traveling community, but like just a guy who's like thinks of himself as like a vagabond or a bit of a storyteller, and I find it very funny when he's really sticking it to people by having outdoor events, you know. Because he's really trying to put it in there. He's like, we're just people meeting, and they can't stop us. I was like, nobody's trying to stop you from congregating outdoors anymore, you know.
Yeah, he should be shot.
Yeah, military execution.
All right, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I gotta go as well. I've left everybody waiting long enough. So check out all that stuff that we mentioned, and we'll see you all soon. Bye bye.
See ya. See you, Gareth.
Bye bye.